Just hours ago, President Obama telling America that he won't allow ISIS militants to set up a safe haven in Iraq and that U.S. airstrikes have destroyed weapons held by the terror group. This as U.S. forces continue airdropping humanitarian aid. The president says this operation could take months, but he's facing criticism from those who think his reaction is insufficient and too late. Joining me now, Fox News political analyst Angela McGlowan and Leslie Marshall, radio talk show host and Fox News contributor. Good to see both of you.
Good to see you, Arthel.
All right. So I think I'm going to go with you on this one first, Leslie. So now that we're getting information across the board, we're hearing this, that ISIS was more advanced than early intelligence indicated. Do you think the targeted airstrikes are too little too late or more appropriately timed, Leslie?
No, I think they're actually very appropriately timed. First of all, although on the one hand, we constantly think here in the United States and in the international community that, the U.S. is Superman, we put on a cape and, or Mighty Mouse, here we come to save the day. But the reality is when we look at just air involvement, although these drone attacks are very significant, they've been very successful and they will continue to be. A, this is not the United States. It is Iraq. It is a sovereign nation. B, we just had this week compliance from the Prime Minister of Iraq with regard to air use by Kurds. C, we can't do this alone. I mean, we need help from the Turks, other allies, and eventually the president is going to, and is probably working on it now, getting Saudi Arabia involved, the United Nations, other Arab nations. This is not something we can go alone. The goal is and has to be that the Iraqis take care of this on their own.
All right, Angela, go ahead and jump in.
Too much, too little, too late. It's like we're playing catch up. We are the leader of the free world. Now, I agree with Leslie, we shouldn't go it alone, but we always take the lead, Leslie, and other people follow. And the fact that we've been absent for so long, the terrorists have taken advantage of that. And 15 months ago, President Obama said that the war on terror was over. Well, quick note, ISIS did not get that memo. People in the United States might have believed that. The president ran on that, but the war on terror is clearly not over, so now it's time for us to stand firm. And if I were the president, I'd take a page out of Bush's doctrine, because we don't know what the president's doctrine is.
And what page is that? Yeah, go ahead. What would
Bush was proactive and aggressive, and we knew where he stood. He did not have any ambiguity when it came to terrorists and how we dealt with threats and terrorists. With the president, the administration even said this morning, we're still going to study it. We don't need to study it. We know what's happening and we know how to fix it. So let's fix it.
All right. Well, listen, so I'm going to move on. And the president, of course, as you know, he assured the American people that American troops were not going to get dragged into another fight, another war there, because there's no American military solution, he says, to this larger crisis there. So, Leslie, back to you now. Do you think the president can be absolute on this, or do you fear mission creep?
Well, I always have those fears. I think every American does. I mean, seriously, just when you say the name Iraq, we definitely have extremely high emotions, and not just necessarily left and right, Democrat and Republican with regard to that. There's a level of apprehension by the American people. Certainly, the president has to look into that and the best interest of our nation. But when we talk about what our level of involvement will be, I think the president can be and has to be resolute. If we look historically at the United States military involvement in the Middle East, and whether it's even diplomatic involvement, we don't have an easy solution. We're looking at, again, terrains that are difficult, cultures that and languages that we don't fully understand, and dialects in those regions.
Okay, and Angela, let me give you a specific question, because I know you want to jump in. So Angela, the president spoke to the public. I want to ask you specifically, do you think President Obama needs to lay out a more specific strategy to fellow politicians there in D.C. in terms of how to handle this crisis, this current crisis in Iraq?
I mean, Arthel, I don't think that he should be totally public with his strategy, but yes, inside the Beltway, meet with politicians so the politicians can go back home to let Americans know we have it solved, we have it handled. Let's trust the commander-in-chief. Right now, there's so much ambiguity out there. When you have ambiguity, people come to their own conclusion. As for boots on the ground, the people in Iraq said, we don't need boots on the ground. We have enough people on the ground. We need supplies. We have old weapons. They're antiquated. We need supplies in Iraq. We don't need people. So I think we know what needs to happen. But yes, the president needs to develop a strategy, but not go public with it.
Okay, fair enough. Angela McGlowan and Leslie Marshall, I've got to leave it there. I will talk to you both later. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Arthel.
Thank you.